Hello again. I thought that in a public-spirited way I ought to draw attention to a little-known initiative launched by the British government, one which warns us to prepare for an extraordinary and unprecedented wave of immigration. In the description to this video, I give a link to the Hong Kong UK Welcome Programme Guidance for Local Authorities. This was published a couple of months ago by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and jolly interesting reading it makes too. The government is telling local authorities to prepare for a huge influx of Chinese people and offering to give them money to help with this. Your money, that is, of course. A beautiful version of the three-card trick is being played upon those people in Britain who are worried about large-scale immigration. Let me explain how this stunt is being pulled. I drew attention the other day to the fact that thousands of illegal immigrants are landing on the beaches of Kent each week, and that the government seems unable or unwilling to tackle the problem. There are two connections here to the situation in China. One obvious point is that in a week where the numbers arriving from France reached record levels, the Royal Navy seemed to be utterly helpless when it came to protecting British territorial waters. At the same time, this very same week, it was quietly announced that two ships of the Royal Navy are to be stationed permanently in the Far East as a signal to China that we are concerned about free passage in the South China Sea. I give a link to this above. We are told that the two ships to be permanently stationed in the Far East will be HMS Spey and HMS Tamar, both 90-metre offshore patrol vessels normally used for maritime policing duties such as anti-piracy and counter-terrorism. Maritime policing duties? Hang on a minute. Wouldn't they be ideal for patrolling the Channel and stopping small boats crossing into British waters? Why are we stationing these useful vessels permanently in the South China Sea rather than at Dover, say? The other connection which immigrants arriving across the Channel have with China is this. By keeping up a fuss about this problem, we are encouraged to take our eyes off a much, much bigger problem which nobody seems to have noticed. The worst case scenario with the small boats arriving from France is that 22,000 illegal immigrants will land this year. In Hong Kong, we don't know how many people actually have or are entitled to British national overseas passports. These are passports that entitle the holder to come and live in Britain for as long as they want and to settle here. The British government says that there are an estimated 2.9 million people entitled to British residence in Hong Kong. The difficulty here is that the British government is notoriously wrong about their estimates in things like this. Remember when they estimated that maybe 3 million citizens from the European Union would apply for settled status in Britain after Brexit? How many had actually applied by the deadline a few weeks ago on June the 30th? Well, that would be 6 million. So if there are estimated to be 3 million people in Hong Kong with the right to come and live in Britain, you can probably double that number. This is why I said that this is a version of the three-card trick. While everybody is looking in the other direction, fretting about the ships coming across the Channel illegally, the government is setting up what they call their welcome programme for millions of Chinese immigrants who will soon be coming here. If anybody is wondering where these 6 million citizens from the EU and the 3 million more, or possibly 6 million more, Chinese immigrants, if they're wondering where they're going to live, then you might ask how all this ties in with what is being called the streamlining of the planning system, about which many people are uneasy. This will mean that local authorities will be unable to stop the countryside being concreted over to provide houses for all those millions of people coming to the country. It will also mean many more high-rise buildings in every city as we try to find room for another 10 million people or so.